Welcome to the Water Hub. This is an old wastewater treatment plant that was abandoned in about 2013. And as scientists from the University of Cape Town, we got this incredible opportunity to come and work on the site and to turn it into a resource recovery center. So I'm going to take you on a journey today from how we clean that water, or rather how nature cleans that water, and to use that water to irrigate our plants and to sustain a fish breeding exercise on the plant. And all the time what we're trying to do is to learn more about the risks that are associated with the use and reuse of that water, especially when it comes to the soil and the irrigation of edible vegetables and fish. This is the first stage of taking water from a highly polluted river system, polluted mainly by inadequate services from an informal settlement, which now has close on 10,000 people living in it. The water comes in highly contaminated, it's got high levels of bacteria in it, and we want to use that water, but we can't allow that water to go onto vegetation and onto soils at such high levels of concentration. The water then is taken into these filters, which are stone filters or filters with peach pips in them, and deep down in them, they're about 1 meter deep, and this is where the real work takes place. And there are microbial organisms, there's bacteria, there's single cellular organisms in there, there's a biofilm, which all combine to help build a treatment plant. We're treating here between 80 and 100,000 liters of water every week. It takes 5 to 7 days for that water to be properly treated in these cells before we release it largely into the river, and then a small portion we take and use to irrigate. This is an experimental garden that we're working with here. On my right-hand side is an irrigation line which is fed by municipal water, in other words, clean water, treated water. On my left-hand side is water that has been cleaned by the biofiltration system that we've just been. So the cells have delivered us clean water. The first experiment is to understand how plants are taking up different nutrients, how fast their growth is, what their biomass is as a result of the different types of water that we are feeding them. Furthermore, what we've done here is the first section of this garden has got duckweed infused into it. Duckweed has got an amazing property as a composting weed. Duckweed is ubiquitous. We find this all over the world, and what you can see, they are like literally floating weeds. They've got long roots which project down into the water and take up phosphate and nitrogen and other nutrients into it. It also serves as a very healthy means of reducing the evaporation from ponds like this. That biomass, which takes up phosphate and also nitrogen in it, has been infused into the soil. Further down, the next 4 meters, is a control, so we've not added any compost or anything to it. And so the last 4 meters of this is where we take biochar. It is soil which is from a landfill site which doesn't hold much nutrients in it, fine biochar. Then we have put in molasses, which provides the film, and then we've added worm tea or worm juice to add the microbes into this. And finally, what we did is we put in poultry pellets, which is high in phosphate, nitrogen, and ammonia. And this should provide us with really rich soil. We should be able to get anything between 5 and 10% of carbon re-injected into the soil, and that biochar operates as a magnificent retention of water and of nutrients at the root level.
What we have here is an experimental aquaculture. We have water that's coming from the biofilters in this tank and the tank behind me, and then over there's another tank that has got tap water. We have fish, that's tilapia, in these tanks that have been grown from the time they were fingerlings up to the time they are going to mature. So this is fish that I took from the tank that's using treated water from the biofilters, and it's, as you can see, it's looking healthy. By that we are able to monitor any risks that are associated with the reuse of that treated contaminated water, by way of monitoring bioaccumulation of any micropollutants that are still present in there, in the fish, and which can then be passed on to the consumer.
This is a water sample that's taken from the biofilters. We compared it earlier with the river, and now we want to see how much phosphate is in that water sample. The biofilter has removed 2.5 milligrams per liter from the water just by a natural filtration system. The water here is at 7.3 on the pH scale and possibly still falling, but it's beginning to indicate that this water has been treated, it's cleaner. The Water Hub is a site in which we are doing various experiments. It really is a fun research center because we're learning by doing all the time. We're learning new ways to work with nature and to find nature-based solutions to some of our pressing problems here in South Africa. There's very little that needs to be done here in terms of high capital costs. It's low maintenance, and yet you can see the vegetables over the last 4 weeks have moved from seed to seedlings to plants that are actually within about 4 weeks before they'll be harvested again. So thank you for coming on this journey. It's been a long journey for us as scientists, and now we're able to, at least with some confidence, show the rest of the world that there is something that we can do here very simply through understanding nature, understanding the sequences that we've taken you through in this short documentary.